You're stringing a racket in a hybrid with a poly and a multi-filament. And the big question is, should you put the multi-filament in the mains or the crosses? Which is better? Now, I made the video the other day about how I had been stringing my racket with a hybrid with a poly in the mains and my multi-filament in the crosses. And the reason for this was, number one, durability. So I found that I had historically been putting the multi in the mains and the poly in the crosses, and it just shredded through the strings. Now I came across, I've been changing strings up, and I actually found quite a durable multi, which is, it's a Kirschbaum string. And I just carried on stringing it with the multi in the crosses and the poly in the mains, because just that's what I kind of fixed on. And then I put a video the other day with a link, which was, I switched up and thought, I actually did this bit by accident. I put the multi into the mains and the poly in the crosses. And straight away, as I talked about in the other video, I found that what I gained was the strings became a lot more crisp. I got more topspin and a bit more liveliness, mainly because they talk about the string that's in the mains, in this case the multi, that's the kind of the biggest characteristic you get, where a multi is sort of more about power, more about feel, whereas the poly is more about sort of durability, control, stiffness. Now, what I just found today, and why I'm making this video, is which is better. I would say that if you're looking for characteristics like power, touch, feel, and potentially more topspin, which is largely because the multi will move and slide up and down, so you'll get potentially more snapback as the string pulls down and then snaps back as you hit the ball, potentially giving you more topspin. If you want those qualities, I would say put the multi in the mains and the poly in the crosses. The trouble is, as I found out today, you break them pretty quickly. And that is because the string, the multi, is continuously moving up and down and up and down, which is why you'll see my strings here are a bit of a mess compared to when I put it in the multi in the crosses. The strings stay pretty much where they are. What that does is actually starts notching the strings pretty badly. So as the string's moving up and down, the multi is rubbing against the poly string and it's notching. And if I just cut a string out here, what do we mean by notching? So I'm just going to take a string out of the middle. What do we mean by notching? Literally, and you may be able to see this, maybe not, you'll see that the string actually cuts notches into the string, and you'll see it actually starts cutting halfway through, and that's where it breaks prematurely. You just end up cutting more and more through the string until there's virtually no string left. I mean, these notches even here have almost gone all the way through the string. You probably won't be able to see. So what that means is the multi in the mains is going to break a lot faster. So the trouble is though, if you then say, well, I want durability, where you put the multi into the crosses, the string bed will feel different. You won't get quite as much power. You don't get quite as much feel. It will feel stiffer, and you probably won't get quite as much topspin, through the snapback. So it's still a good setup, but you definitely do see a difference. So the trade-off really is probably when you're saying multi in the crosses is more about durability. What you're really talking about is money. Do you want to be stringing a racket all the time, and do you want to be paying for that, whether that's to a stringer or even if you're stringing it yourself, you still got to pay for the string. So I'm going to have to really decide, because I would say the multi in the mains lasts me probably about 15 to 20 hours. Multi in the crosses lasts me about 15 to 20 hours. Multi in the mains, that definitely lasted less than 10 hours. So I would say, yeah, probably 6 to 8 hours, 6 to 10 hours. That was breaking, which, basically I'm going to be stringing that racket every single week. Do I want to do that? Can I afford to do it? Or am I willing to say, actually, this one in the multi and the crosses still worked pretty well. I'll probably get 2 weeks out of this. Yeah, gonna have to make that sort of decision. Hopefully that's useful for you.